Caregiving can sometimes feel like an impossible struggle. Caregivers may be torn between taking care of loved ones and trying to maintain balance in life. The good news is that it doesn't have to be that way. The Caring Generation with host Pamela D Wilson is here to focus on the conversation of caring. You're not alone. In fact, you're in exactly the right place to share stories and learn tips and resources to help you and your loved ones. So now, please welcome the host of The Caring Generation, Pamela D Wilson.
This is Pamela D Wilson, caregiving expert, speaker, consultant, and guardian of the Caring Generation. The Caring Generation focuses on the conversation of caring, giving us permission to talk about aging, the challenges of caregiving, and everything in between. It's no surprise that needing care or becoming a caregiver changes everything. The Caring Generation is here to guide you along the journey, to let you know that you're not alone. You are in exactly the right place to share stories and learn about caregiving programs and resources to help you and your loved ones plan for what's ahead. Invite your aging parents, spouses, family, friends, co-workers to listen to the show. If you have a question or an idea for a future program, share your idea with me by responding to my social media posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also complete the Caregiver survey on my website under the Contact Me button. This week, we're talking about caregiver regrets, specifically no life, no friends, and no job. It doesn't matter whether you're 20, 40, 60, or 80. The decisions you make to care for an elderly parent, spouse, grandparent, or another family member will eliminate other choices. The consequences of the trade-offs you make can lead to a life of isolation, loneliness, worry about career and earning income, relationship challenges, or feeling hopeless. This episode, it is number 150 of the Caring Generation, is about helping you examine and own your choices so that you can make changes to identify your goals and persist in accomplishing your dreams. Achieving goals means identifying the gaps. What is missing from your life that you'd like to have, skills that you might need, and other disparities. Believe it or not, identifying gaps can take a lot of thought, trial, and error, especially if you're not sure what you want in your life, what you don't want, skills, knowledge, or experience that might be beneficial. Making your dreams come true can happen anytime, any day, week, or month, but only if you work towards your goals and never give up. Full disclosure, making these changes and taking these actions may not be easy. A positive mental attitude, having a plan, and being persistent is the path ahead. Thinking positively and having the energy to create change can be challenging if you are a caregiver who feels worn out, burned out, physically sick, exhausted, or hopeless. So, we'll talk about 5 steps to avoid caregiver regrets and the harmful effects of caregiving. The first step to preventing caregiver regrets is realizing that you cannot afford to hang out mentally in a place of negativity. Whenever your mind goes to a place of negative thinking, worry, or stress, pause. If you need a physical cue for pausing, one idea is to put a loose rubber band around your wrist and gently snap the band. Gently snapping the rubber band on your wrist can establish what's called a pattern interrupt to help you realize that it's time to stop your mind from negative thinking and refocus your thoughts to something positive. If you can, notice how your body feels when you think negatively, worry, or experience stress. Your muscles tense up. You might feel pains in your stomach. you sweat, your heartbeat speeds up, or maybe you get a headache when you usually don't have headaches. Until you begin to notice how negativity, worry, or stress makes you feel, it can be challenging to think about changing this automatic response to the emotional and physical effects of being a caregiver. The mind constantly works and talks to us as we go through each day. However, we can control what our mind thinks. It's important to realize that what we believe may not always be accurate, especially if thoughts focus on what other people think of us and how our actions might be perceived. Everyone also has what is called bias. Bias means that our beliefs are based on personal experiences that can result in becoming judgmental. So, for example, believing that A is better than B. But unless one truly investigates A and B, a belief that one is better or one is worse can be faulty, causing more challenges and difficulties and problems and taking you down the wrong path. Add to this that the mind can catastrophize a situation, blow it out of control, when truly there's no factual basis for the mind to think this way. So, when the mind goes to a place of negativity, stress, or worry, ask yourself, wait a minute, is this thought process making me feel good or bad? What thoughts are running through my head? Are they crazy thoughts? Am I being judgmental or participating in biased thinking? A is better than B, B is better than A. Stop and say to yourself, wait a minute, I'm feeling nervous, anxious, angry, or afraid about X, when there may or may not be any issue. Or, wow, Y just happened, and now my heart's beating fast, my stomach hurts. I don't want to feel this way. So I'm going to pause and choose to think differently, which will change how my body is reacting. It'll change how my body feels. So instead, you have to choose some next step. This may be closing your eyes for 30 seconds and saying something positive to yourself, like, my body is relaxed and I feel calm. It may be thinking about your favorite song or some enjoyable activity that you participated in. It could also be as simple as stepping outside for the minute to enjoy the warmth of the sun, or get a cup of coffee and hold it in your hands and feel the warmth of the coffee. Then think, wow, this is something that I should investigate before I get all worked up, before I get all upset. The idea is to physically change the sensations in your body from flight or fight to being calm and relaxed and more thoughtful. The more that you recognize these changes in your physical body and work to change your thoughts, the easier it will be for you to create this transition to manage signs of caregiver stress and then investigate your feelings, investigate the issue. Many psychological problems of caregivers relate to the day in, day out wear and tear that happens from completing all these care activities for elderly parents, spouses, and others. Caregiving is stressful. There's no two ways about that. By noticing negative thoughts and how they make you feel, you gain more control of emotional reactions that can actually cause more problems and caregiver regrets. For example, in a close relationship, you may say or do something or snap out of anger and then regret it later. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? What was I thinking? Taking statements made by others personally is also common in relationships, especially when you feel unappreciated. These situations can lead to family caregivers also taking responsibility for things that you don't control. Then we have self-blame, feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem that can also contribute to caregiver regrets. Doubt can be another feeling that creeps into caregiving relationships when an elderly parent, a spouse, or others criticize the caregiver's actions or their work. If you're the caregiver, you might be wondering, how long can I keep doing this? Am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Why isn't the person I care for ever satisfied with what I'm doing? Then you're thinking, well, I'm a bad person because I'm angry at the person that I care for. These thoughts may lead to feeling resentful and take you to those thoughts about giving up your life, your job, your career, postponing college, getting married, giving up friends, sacrificing your income, your financial well-being, and your health to become a caregiver. So using a thought diary may be helpful if you consistently spin in this negative thought pattern, or you worry, or you're stressed about your situation. The idea of a thought or a worry diary to manage the effects of being a caregiver can help you look at common themes or patterns that might repeat in your life so that you can create different responses to reduce the stress when you start thinking this way. So how do you do this? Well, when you worry, write it down on a piece of paper and move on with your day. Schedule 15 minutes of worry time, say at 6:30 in the evening. Go through your notes, think about it. Think about whether these are realistic worries or whether you're catastrophizing or making a big deal about nothing, or maybe this is a big deal. Now, if you tried all these suggestions and you feel like you're not making progress, seeing a therapist can help you work through emotional and psychological stressors by giving you more tools and processes. A different perspective can help manage negative, stressful, or worrisome thinking. The second step for managing caregiver regrets of no life, no job, and no friends is the idea of getting comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. What does this mean? A simple example is to think back when you were in high school and you were trying to figure out what to do with the rest of your life. Did you plan to go to college? If so, in what specialty area? Did you want to become a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, a tradesperson like an electrician, a mechanic, or an architect? Remember how uncertain life was back then, but how one step turned into the next, and somehow you progressed along to where you are today. Now, if you're a young caregiver who's 20 years old, your life may be filled with even more uncertainties because you might want to attend college, get a job, but caregiving responsibilities, because they're time-consuming, might be holding you back. You might want to work, and you're finding that the mental distractions of caregiving prevent you from working in the type of job that you want if that takes a lot of focus. Or you might be a middle-aged caregiver, thinking about giving up your job to become a full-time caregiver. Maybe you already gave up your job, and you have a lot of regrets about giving up a source of income and independence. There's so many aspects of getting comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. However, in the specific step for managing caregiver regrets, I want to relate discomfort to the idea of identifying what you want and don't want in your life, and then making plans and changes to achieve what you want. So how do you get there? In the middle of managing caregiver regrets is problem solving and decision making. Now, much like when you were younger, trying to figure out what you were going to be when you grew up, there are a few steps involved. Imagine for most people, being a caregiver was never on the list of things that you wanted or expected to do. This caregiving gap is one of the great surprises in life when it happens to you suddenly or over time as the health of an aging parent or loved one declines. The first part of getting uncomfortable is looking at the present situation and the root causes of the problem or what's going on. Did mom or dad assume you would be the sole caregiver and take over all the responsibilities without asking you? Did you give your time without really realizing what might eventually be involved when the care needs of your loved ones increased in time and complexity of the work that you're doing? If your answer to both of these questions is, well, yes, you're in good company. Families don't have these critical conversations because participation is assumed. So let's compare caregiving responsibilities to a job. Because caregiving is a job. It's work, whether you choose it or caregiving chooses you. Think of your day job that provides you with income. If you like your job, hopefully there are parts you enjoy very much and some that are just okay. For most people who love their work, there's a sense of curiosity and problem solving so that your workday passes quickly because you enjoy all these tasks. Let's add to this enjoyment from having a sense of purpose. You're making something better. You're improving something. You feel what you do has value. Caring for aging parents has this component, which is usually the one thing that keeps adult children or a spouse as that primary caregiver for a very long time, in many cases longer than you would like. But then, someday, burnout, exhaustion, or health problems happen when caregivers give up parts of their lives. And then caregivers are asking, what about me? My life, my job, my career, my family? Where is all of this going? Family caregivers eventually do reach a fork in the road when it's time to look at other options for care, or they reach a dead end where involvement has to end because their health and well-being is truly at risk. So part of feeling uncomfortable is looking at your contribution and your involvement in the issues or problems in your care situation. Gather the facts. What happened? Why did it happen? How did I contribute? What are the impacts of making changes? What are the options for change? Answering these questions may be hard because it's uncomfortable, right? Get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. These are the issues families should discuss, but don't when care needs begin. So these conversations are delayed by months or years, and the topics become more difficult because expectations have already been in place. This is a challenge of balancing caregiving relationships between the person who needs care and the person or people who provide the care. The struggle for caregivers, especially specific to caregiver regrets, is balancing values, duty, beliefs, and personal responsibility. Caregivers willingly or unwillingly accept the job of caring for loved ones. Subsequently, they struggle with giving up portions of their lives for 5, 10, 20 or more years. All these trade-offs pose significant choices that may no longer be available when caregiving responsibilities end. For example, let's say you gave up your job. To get back into the job market, you may need to go back to school to gain new skills. Or if you re-enter the job market, you may start at a lower position than when you left because you have to gain experience again. So in this case, investigate all options for yourself and to find outside help to care for loved ones so that if you choose to take that fork in the road or end caregiving duties, the person you're caring for will have care and support. And specific to this, I can't emphasize enough to be very thorough. Become aware of all the options for you and a loved one. To gain this understanding, you may have to, especially for your parent, consult a caregiving expert, an elder law, estate planning or probate attorney, and a CPA or financial planner. In my personal and professional experience, caregiving takes a three-pronged approach. It includes managing health, the legal aspects of decision-making for health and for money, and the financial aspects of planning and paying for care. So when you look at all of the options at the same time, this allows you to take a big picture, long-term view of today and a year from now in the future. This is very different from what I call triage. You're dealing with one emergency or unexpected event at a time. You're only looking at solutions for today, and you think you have the problem solved, but this can prevent you from having more options later. The whole idea here is to have as many options as possible. In addition, gaining knowledge and planning in caregiving and for yourself provides more opportunities for loved ones to get the care they want and need. So let's take a short break. Then we'll return with 3, 4, and number 5 steps for managing caregiver regrets. No life, no job, no friends. Caregiving doesn't have to be a do-it-yourself job. This podcast, The Caring Generation, answers questions caregivers ask. It's available worldwide on my website and your favorite podcast and music apps, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, and others. This is Pamela D Wilson, caregiving expert and elder care consultant on The Caring Generation. Stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Pamela D Wilson, caregiver expert, advocate, and author on The Caring Generation. Check out my website, PamelaDWilson.com, where you will find my online caregiver programs, book, The Caregiving Trap, my caregiver blog, this podcast, my caregiver library, and a way to schedule a telephone or virtual consultation with me. There's something for everyone at PamelaDWilson.com. In the first part of this caregiver podcast, we talked about managing negative or stressful feelings and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable to move forward. This can also include not having enough information, feeling that there's too many options, and feeling stuck and having difficulty making a decision, taking that next step. There's 2 parts to this decision-making process. The first is deciding about the care needs of the care receiver, your parent, spouse, grandma, somebody else. The second is caregivers deciding what they value in life. In a sense, the idea of what caregivers want more of and what they want less of. Obviously, there's practical considerations for each side. For example, the health of the person who needs care is likely to worsen and require more care. The caregiver, depending on age, may be starting out in life or have a well-established career or maybe even be retired. So for the caregivers, there are life stage decisions to make. Truly not an easy situation for everyone involved. Number 3 for steps to managing caregiver regrets is starting somewhere. You have to put a stake in the ground and have a starting point so that you can move ahead and look back proudly at the progress you're making. Moving ahead and making progress can involve making a lot of mistakes. It can involve revising plans as you go as a result of unexpected situations or things that you thought would work out one way and they didn't quite work out that way. Many caregivers see others enjoying their lives and feel envious while going through this process, right? You might get angry at a brother or a sister who refuses to help out, or you may have friends who just don't even understand what you're going through and you're angry at them. This can be the case if you're the caregiver who's become isolated or lonely because you're dedicating so much of your life to care. Specific to starting somewhere, it's also important to take step number 4, which is not to compare your life situation to anyone else. While this can be hard because it's tempting, especially if you spend time on social media watching everyone else post the best parts of their lives. But you have to realize there's a lot more behind the scenes that you don't see. Nobody's life is perfect. Life is messy. An example of a person that one might envy is somebody who appears to have achieved a lot in their life, like an athlete, an actor, actress, a famous author, a painter, or somebody else. While what you're seeing may be the end result of their success, you don't see their life as a child, or the years, or the work, or the time, or the effort, or the 1,000 no's they got to get from where they were to where they are today. Part of starting somewhere and moving ahead is enjoying the process, forward, backward, up, and down. If you're experiencing caregiver regrets, you're probably also experiencing emotional pressures, stress, guilt, peer pressure. Maybe you're being shamed by your friends and your family when you complain about the struggles of being a caregiver. People who shame you will never understand your experience until they become a caregiver. This also compares to caregivers having great difficulty understanding what it's like to be 80 years old and suffering from a lot of health problems, aches, pains, you don't feel good. Until we are in that situation, it's important to realize that we can't understand, but we can be empathetic to the experience of other people. Caregivers can face economic and financial pressures, pressure to continue working to support your family and the person you care for, pressure to put your kids through school, pressure to give up your job to become a 24/7 caregiver. When you get to the point where you feel like you have no life, no job, no friends, you simply may be stuck in a routine that goes on day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year, to the point where you just don't even know what to do or how to make a change. It gets so bad that the discomfort of this life becomes comfortable, which is scary when you think about it. You're becoming used to being isolated, lonely, stressed, or unhappy. You might even think that the effort required to get your life back is too much. You don't have the mental energy or the physical strength because you're exhausted. Well, think again. Know that you have what it takes if you're willing to be the change in your life. All you need is hope, inspiration, persistence, and self-motivation. As we talked about before, I want you to create a list of what you want more of in your life and what you want less of so that you can put that stake in the ground. On one side of the paper, list the things you want to do and you enjoy, things that you don't want to live without. The other side, things you want less of, realizing that this can include poor health, dealing with difficult family members, and even time spent in caregiving activities. Making a list and writing it down makes it real. It also helps you identify what you want. Setting a stake in the ground and taking action helps you look more at the next step and the next step and the next step. And through experience, through these steps, you might find that things you thought you wanted or couldn't live without aren't as important as you thought they were. And so they move to the other side of that list. Or there may be things that you now realize you want that weren't even listed. So other things, maybe you were looking for a certain type of job. And when you research this job that you thought you wanted and you apply, you complete a couple of interviews and you realize it's not a good fit. So you have to go back to square one to find more of what you want in a job. All of this is a work in progress. It's progress though, right? Work in process, work in progress. Realize that avoiding caregiver regrets requires making progress a little bit every day. You must take action to create change, to create your goals. There's no other way. So what are you waiting for? No life, no career, no job, no friends. Where will you begin today? Let's say that you're looking for a job, and it doesn't matter whether you're 20 or 50, there will be challenges. Not enough experience, too much experience. The job description may be perfect, but the industry or the business segment isn't something you can be passionate about. There are so many considerations in finding that perfect position where you can stay for a while, build your skills, and then potentially be promoted or move ahead. Also realize that there may not be a perfect position. You have to start somewhere to gain some skills to get the next position and the next position to get to your perfect position. There may be 100 doors, 100 no's slammed in your face. You hear, "Hey, thanks for applying, but your skills don't match what we're looking for. Thanks for applying, but we hired a candidate with skills that more closely match the requirements of the position." It can take 100 no's, 200 no's to get to one yes. But when you get to the yes, all of that work, the journey will have been worth the effort. Every job interview you have is an opportunity to work on your communication and interviewing skills and learn about what the job really is. Are you going to like it? Not like it? Do you have the skills? Can you excel in the position? Is it going to be a struggle for you? Keep going whatever your goal is, whether it's finding a job, making new friends, finding new activities of interest, taking care of your health, new hobby, rather than fearing failure or rejection. Fear regret. That job you saw but didn't apply for would have been perfect, right? That friend who invited you to coffee but you said no. Lost opportunities. Embracing persistent habits is essential. It's so necessary for getting a job, making new friends, making progress in life. When you truly know what you value and want in your life, then you have a reason, you have a why behind everything that you're doing, everything that you're working toward. You're looking for a new job so that you can be financially independent and happy and healthy. You want to reestablish old friendships because these people were part of your life before you became a caregiver, and you want them in your life again because that makes you happy. Don't be afraid to get back up on that horse, to start again every time there's a setback. It may not be easy, but you can do it. Keep looking for solutions and answers to every setback. Make a list of your whys. Why do you want to do this or that? And when you get a no or when you struggle, just keep going back to that why. Find whys and ways to motivate yourself on the days where you'd rather not apply for a job or you'd rather stay in bed all day. Schedule time to work on your goals, whether it's a job search, connecting with friends, researching activities, or social groups. Stop comparing yourself to others who you think have it easier. That may not be the case. Compete with yourself, not everybody else. Do more tomorrow than you did today, and more the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Stretch to learn something new. Have a growth mindset that doesn't limit your potential and your opportunities. Realize that every bit of progress is positive, it's good, even if you haven't quite reached the destination. Being successful rarely happens overnight, but it comes from small steps toward small goals, done every day, done persistently for a period of time. That amount of progress will help you get there. For example, let's say you want to run a marathon, you don't just start by, I'm going to get up and I'm going to run 5 miles tomorrow. I'm going to run 10 miles tomorrow. You probably can't do that. You start by walking, and then you run a few blocks, and then a half a mile, and then a mile, and then several miles. And by the time it's marathon time, you're ready. A lot of us forget that some of these bigger goals we set for ourselves, while we would love for them just to materialize tomorrow, they take time. Time that we devote to investigation and planning and looking at the pros and cons, minimizing our biases, our judgments, gaining new skills, meeting new people, All of this enriches our lives in so many ways that we may not realize until we look back. So to find evidence of this in your life, what's something that you're proud of? Did you finish school? Did you have children? Get a new job? It's likely that none of these happened in the blink of an eye. They didn't happen in a matter of days, probably in a matter of time. And somewhere along that way, you may have had some ups and downs, maybe a lot of no's, maybe some disappointments, but maybe you had the support of family, friends, or other people. Every day, be grateful for what you have. Pray for yourself, pray for others. Believe that you have good things and people in your life so that these things and people materialize for you, so that they show up. Instead of becoming resentful and having caregiver regrets, maintain hope and positivity, but take steps to meet your goals. Also find ways to play in your life so that your work is enjoyable and relationships with others are empowering and positive. Just like the example earlier of snapping a rubber band on your wrist to give you a pause and a reset, we all need tools that we use every day in our lives. Everybody has hopes and dreams. Every day, people struggle. Every day, people succeed in making their dreams and goals become a reality. What do you choose? Do you want to struggle? Would you rather succeed? You have the power to find the job you love, have loving relationships with people in your life. If you believe, if you make a plan, if you persist, keep going, and never give up. Don't fear failure. Fear regret. Keep going through hundreds and maybe thousands of no's to get to that yes that brings you to the point in your life that you've been waiting for. I thank you all for continuing to post questions for this podcast and the videos I share on my YouTube channel. There's hundreds of videos there. This is Pamela D Wilson, family caregiver expert on the caring generation. If you're looking for answers to caregiving and aging questions, visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com, where you'll find my caregiving library, online caregiver courses, Caring for Aging Parents blog, my book, The Caregiving Trap, and ways to connect with me. I look forward to being with you all again soon. God bless you all. Love to everybody. Sleep well tonight. Have a fabulous day tomorrow. And enjoy each day working towards your dreams until we are here together again.
Tune in each week for The Caring Generation with host Pamela D. Wilson. Come join the conversation and see how Pamela can provide solutions and peace of mind for everyone. Here on Pamela D. Wilson's The Caring Generation.